The opening minute is crucial, so let's begin with the heart of the problem. Across the world, farmers and gardeners have been sold the same story for decades. If your soil is weak, pour on more fertilizer. If your crops struggle, drench them with chemicals. If your harvests shrink, double down again. But here's the truth that rarely makes headlines. Modern agriculture has left our soils emptier than ever. It stripped them of their living foundation and replaced a self-sustaining ecosystem with dependency. Dead soil doesn't mean just fewer nutrients, it means silence underground where there should be billions of microbes working in harmony. Yet what if I told you that long before chemical agriculture, ancient growers had already mastered soil revival? And what if I told you those practices worked so well that many are still banned or dismissed today, not because they fail, but because they threaten the profit model of modern farming? Stay with me, because we're digging up ancestral soil wisdom that can transform your barren ground into a thriving bed of life again. Our ancestors didn't have chemical factories, but they managed to farm and garden on the same ground for centuries, sometimes millennia, without destroying it. Cultures from the Amazon to Asia, from Africa to Europe, all developed ways to regenerate soil using natural cycles. Take the example of terra preta in the Amazon basin. Indigenous peoples built incredibly fertile soils by combining charcoal, food scraps, pottery shards, and organic refuse, creating a living soil that still produces abundantly today, hundreds of years later. In Asia, farmers practiced night soil composting and crop rotation with legumes to ensure nitrogen never ran out. In Africa, certain tribes deliberately mixed animal manure with plant ash and clay, balancing minerals and encouraging microbial life. The core principle across these methods was simple: feed the soil, not just the plant. Instead of dumping soluble chemicals, they built long-term fertility by layering carbon-rich and nitrogen-rich materials, protecting soil with cover, and returning organic matter in every season. They worked with natural decomposition cycles instead of bypassing them. Modern agriculture often dismisses these practices as outdated or even unscientific, yet when tested, they outperform chemical inputs over time because they don't just supply nutrients, they restore the entire ecosystem underground. That's the real myth we must break. Adding more fertilizer doesn't equal healthier soil, and in fact it usually accelerates the decline. Now let's get practical. How do you apply this banned ancestral wisdom in your own garden? It begins with reclaiming the materials modern agriculture often calls waste. The building blocks are carbon, nitrogen, minerals, and living inoculants. Start by collecting high-carbon materials like wood chips, shredded stalks, dried leaves, or straw. Mix these with nitrogen-rich components such as fresh grass clippings, kitchen scraps, or manure. A balanced ratio to aim for is roughly 2 parts carbon to 1 part nitrogen. This blend feeds both bacteria and fungi, who thrive on the balance between energy-dense sugars and protein-like compounds. Next, add ash in moderation. Wood ash, in particular, is a mineral booster rich in potassium, calcium, and trace elements. Too much can shift the pH too far alkaline, so sprinkle it lightly, no more than a thin dusting per square meter before mixing it in. One of the most powerful ancestral techniques is biochar, essentially charcoal activated with compost or urine before being added to soil. Biochar provides long-lasting habitat for microbes and locks nutrients in place, preventing leaching. To make your own, burn dry branches or crop residue in a low-oxygen pit until you have blackened chunks. Crush them into smaller pieces, soak them in compost tea or diluted urine for several days, then incorporate them into your garden beds. Layer these ingredients directly onto the soil surface instead of tilling. Start with carbon materials at the bottom, nitrogen and manure in the middle, then finish with a mulch cover like straw or shredded leaves. Water thoroughly to kickstart decomposition. This no-dig layering mimics the way organic matter builds in forests, creating fertile topsoil naturally. Within weeks, you'll notice the first changes: softer texture, earthworm activity, and darker soil tones. Over months, microbial life surges back, and your plants begin to respond with stronger growth and deeper colors. The change in soil under ancestral methods is nothing short of astonishing. Hard, lifeless dirt begins to loosen and hold moisture again. Water sinks instead of running off. Worms return, creating air channels and leaving behind nutrient-dense castings. Under a microscope, the barren landscape of sterile particles gives way to a teeming world of fungal threads, bacterial colonies and protozoa darting between them. In side-by-side comparisons, crops grown in ancestral treated soil show remarkable differences. Roots spread deeper and thicker, stems are sturdier, and leaves take on a richer green. Plants become less susceptible to aphids and fungal diseases because they are fed steadily and supported by their microbial partners. Gardeners often notice flavor improvements in fruits and vegetables as well. Tomatoes taste sweeter, greens are less bitter, and overall yields rise without additional fertilizer. The transformation is visible not only in crops but in the soil itself. Over time, what began as barren dust turns into soil that smells alive and holds shape in your hand. It's the return of an ancient balance. What happens in your beds doesn't stop there. Reviving soil biology has ripple effects across your entire ecosystem. Healthy soil captures more carbon from the air, locks it underground, and helps fight climate change on a small but meaningful scale. It reduces the need for irrigation by holding more water, and it reduces runoff, protecting streams and rivers from fertilizer pollution. For you, the gardener, the benefits are immediate and lasting. Instead of spending year after year buying bags of fertilizer, you build a system that feeds itself. Instead of battling pests and diseases every season, you garden with nature's checks and balances already in place. This is the foundation of sustainable harvests, food security, and a healthier planet for generations to come. The ancestral way may have been banned by modern agriculture, but in backyards and small farms across the world, it's making a return. Every gardener who layers compost, ash, biochar, and organic matter is part of that revival, and every bed transformed from barren to thriving is proof that the old wisdom still holds the answers. If you've struggled with dead, compacted, or lifeless soil, don't lose hope. You don't need more chemicals, and you don't need expensive inputs. What you need is to revive the ancient methods that worked for centuries before agriculture was industrialized. Start today with compost, biochar, and mulch layering. Feed your microbes, protect your soil, and watch life return season after season. For more guides like this, deep dives into soil revival, practical regenerative methods, and hidden gardening wisdom, make sure you subscribe to Soil and Plant Doctor. Share this with fellow gardeners who are tired of barren ground and ready for a garden that builds itself stronger each year. Together, we can bring ancestral soil wisdom back where it belongs, in our beds, in our harvests, and in our future.